सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ आप्यायन्तु ममाङ्गानि वाक्प्राणश्चक्षुश्रोत्रमथो बलमिन्द्रियाणि च सर्वाणि सर्वं ब्रह्म उपनिषदम् माहं ब्रह्म निराकुर्याम् मा ब्रह्म निराकरोत् अनिराकरणमस्त्वनिराकरणं मे अस्तु तदात्मनि निरते यौपनिषत्सु धर्मास्ते मयि सन्तु ते मयि सन्तु। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ओमित्येतदक्षरमुद्गीतमुपासीत ओमिति ह्युद्गायते तस्योपव्याख्यानम् यदा वै सुखं लभते अथ करोति कृतिं भगवो विजिज्ञासेति। हे भगवान, O venerable sir, Krutim Vijignyase, I seek to know what is the means of that Kruti. What motivates a person to do things? Kruti, Bhashyakara interpreted as Indriya Nigraha, Indriya Sanyama, the control over one's sense organs, Chitta Ekagrata Karanam Cha, and the concentration or focus of the mind. Meaning, Samadhi Shatka Sampatti, Shama, Dama, Samadhanam. So, Krutim Vijignyase, I seek to know what is the means of that Kruti. Meaning, what motivates. A person to acquire those qualities which, as Bhashyakara said, Vijñāna avasanāni, then that leads to Nishtha, then that leads to Shraddha, then leads to Mananam, leads to Vijñānam, leads to Satyavadanam, leads to Ativaditvam, which is Mukti. Yada vai sukham labate atha karote. Only when a person has a promise of happiness, when one attains happiness, that is when one gets motivated, enthused. Satparaha sriyata indriyaha. So when tatparta is there, devotion is there, and shraddha is there, devotion is there, when that is there, then indriya samyama, indriya nigraha is all there. And happiness means what? Nirdisham vakshamanam labdham maya iti manyate. That I will attain the jivan muktatvam, ativaditvam, satyavadanam, satyavijnanam, which is sukham, which is the unsurpassable happiness. That as a result of cultivating this samadhi shatka sampatti, I will attain unsurpassable happiness. Iti yada manyate. When one understands this, one sees this fact, tada bhavati. Then that krutihi bhavati. Then that kruti of indriya samyama takes place. Meaning that one strives to attain that. Yatha drishtapala sukha krutihi tatha ihapi. Just as in our day-to-day life also, any action you perform, when that action promises happiness. Drishtapala rupam sukham yasyaha sa krutihi. So we get motivated to anything when we know that it will generate happiness. Similarly here also, in case of spiritual growth also, one will be motivated when there is a promise of that happiness. Na sukham labdhva karoti, or sukham alabdhva na karoti. One does not do anything when one does not, there is no promise of happiness. Bhavishyati phalam labdhva, na sukham labdhva. So, not that one does, having gained a sukham, dukkham, one does not do, no, one does not do something when there is a possibility of gaining dukkham. Then Bhashyakara says, well, will that sukham automatically happen? Atha idanim krutyadishu uttarottareshu satsu. So what is the means of kruti is stated, namely sukham. So then when I do the kruti, then there is nishtha, then there is shraddha, then there is maranam, then there is shravanam, then there is vijnanam, then there is satya vadanam, then there is ativaditvam. So it will automatically happen. Na tad vijnaya prasagyatnah karya iti. Happiness will automatically happen there. That does not seem to be a need for striving to know what happiness is or any special means of attaining that happiness will automatically happen. Because as the Tikakara said, Sukha Swarupasya Satyasya Vijignasayaha Uktatva Satyam Tve Vijignasaiti. When Sayyid Narada said, I seek to know what are the means of Satyam. And Satyam is Sukham. So automatically Jignasa of Sukham also is included. He says, no. You have to know that Satyam is Sukham. Then only the Jignasa for Satyam becomes Jignasa for Sukham. Satyasyapi satah Sukhasya Sukhatve Jnanam Vina. Even though Satyam is the nature of happiness, but unless you know that, the Jnana Sadhana Krutyadhi Prutyanupatte, until then, one will not strive for the Kruti and everything that is required. Tej Vijignyasa Pusak Bhaktavya. Therefore, one has to know and one has to strive for acquiring means of attaining that Sukham or happiness. So then, next passage says, यो वै भूमा तत्सुखम न अल्पे सुखमस्ति भूमैव सुखम भूमात्वे विजिज्ञासितव्य इति भूमानं भगवो विजिज्ञासे इति यो वै भूमा तत्सुखम. Bhuma will be explained as abundant, is infinite. So what is infinite? What is limitless is Sukham. This is a very excellent definition of Sukham. Very important. That happiness can be there only when there is limitlessness. Now, Alpe Sukhamasti also says, there cannot be happiness in anything that is limited. So, if this definition is understood, the happiness can be where there is limitlessness. Limitlessness alone means happiness. Wherever limitedness is there, there cannot be happiness. If that becomes clear to us, then one becomes indifferent to everything that is limited. Even though there appears to be happiness from limited objects, still it is not that limited object that gives happiness, it is limitless self that gives that happiness. There is limitlessness. Where is that? This self is limitless. And therefore, we gain happiness whenever we have a glimpse of that self. The intensity of the happiness will depend upon the intensity of that glimpse. If sun is covered by many layers of clouds, then as one layer gets removed, you have at least some brightness there. As the layers of clouds start getting removed, you get sun appears brighter and brighter. When the clouds separate, you have the glimpse of the sun. Again clouds come back, it goes away. So also the cloud of that ahankara, mamakara, raga, dvesha, all of this is the inhibiting factor. The factor that obstructs the manifestation of happiness. Just as the clouds are the inhibiting factors. They obstruct the manifestation of sun, which is already there. The clouds deprive us of the glimpse of the sun, experience of the light of the sun. Similarly, the cloud of ignorance, ahankara, mamakara, raga, dvesha, abhinivesha, all of these which is the product of ignorance, they all act as clouds and they deprive us of the glimpse or experience of our own self. It's a big paradox in our life. On one hand, Vedanta says that you are happiness. On the other hand, I find myself unhappy. This is totally contradictory. It looks like it says no, you are happiness, but then it is necessary that you have to experience all that happiness must become manifest. So even though happiness is of a nature, there is an inhibiting factor, an obstructing factor. And all our sadhana is to remove that obstructing factor. It is no doubt praptasya praptihi, attainment of what is already attained, no doubt. Except that whatever creates the notion of aprapti, that has to go. So what is praptam? What is already attained? What is already obtaining? There is something that creates in us this wrong notion that is apraptam, is unattained. Even though the 10th man is is already there. Something creates this notion. The 10th one is lost. I am not the 10th one. 10th one is lost. Vedanta calls it ignorance. Meaning that there is a phenomenon like this in our life. So, this is Vedanta's teaching. Everybody else takes the sorrow as real. And then instructs us into how to remove the real sorrow by real means of happiness, a means of real happiness. Vedanta says, no, sorrow is unreal. Jagat mithya means whether Jagat is, sorrow is mithya for sure. So whether there is a problem with this Jagat is mithya, don't worry. One thing is sure, sorrow is mithya. All unhappiness is mithya. There is no reason for it to be there. It is a projection. Projection of my perception. What is limitless? And I perceive it as limited. The self is limitless and I perceive it as limited. And I think that limitedness is real. So limitedness of the self is the cause of all sorrow. And there is no limitedness in the self. There is no legitimate cause of sorrow. And so, sorrow is mithya. So, yo vai bhuma tat sukham na alpe sukham asti. So, whenever we get a glimpse of that self which is limitless, we become happy. Clearer the glimpse is, more the intensity of happiness. Clearest glimpse is, there is ecstasy momentarily. That flower may again come, inhibit that happiness, then again I fall down. There are withdrawal symptoms, Or as next morning, after high at night, there is all that low in the morning. That's what happens to people. But this is it. Yo vai bhuma tat sukham. There cannot be sukham asti. Nothing that is limited can ever give us happiness. However great it is, as long as it is limited, there cannot be happiness. See, drishyam, whatever is drishyam perceived, experienced, then martyam, that is mortal, that is limited in time, limited in place. Yad viditam, tad martyam. What is viditam, drishyam is martyam, mortal, limited in time, place. And that is the cause of dukkham. So, na alpe sukham is bhuma eva sukham. Only bhuma or limitless alone is sukham. Bhuma tveva vijignasadavya iti. And that bhuma, one should seek to know that bhuma. Bhumanam bhagavo vijignyaseti. I want to know that bhuma. What's the means of knowledge of bhuma? Or what's the nature of bhuma in this case now? So Vashyakara says, Yo vai bhuma mahat niratishayam bahu iti paryayaha tat sukham. Bhuma is in fact masculine word. But sukham is neuter, therefore mahat nirdishayam bahu iti paryayaha tat sukham. So that which is mahat, great or big or large, nirdishayam, unsurpassable, bahu, abundant, much, plentiful. All of these are synonyms. Paryayaha tat sukham. So says Anandagiri, Bhumnaha arvagapi vaishekam sukhamasti iti ashankya. All right? We accept that what is abundant, much, plentiful, large, limitless, infinite is happiness. We accept. But Bhumna arvagapi, in things that are lower than Bhuma, in things that are limited, just as the various limited objects of the world. Vaishekam sukham asti. So that is sukham of the limitless is okay. But why do you say yo vai bhuma, that limitless alone is happiness? We find that limited things also give us happiness, and therefore arvag means below or lower. Those things are less than limitless, which are the objects of the world, there also happiness is. Iti ashankya, says Bhashyakara, tataha arvak satishayatvat alpatvam. Alpam, yeah. Tat arvak. Arvak means below. Below means less than that. So anything that is less than limitless is limited. Sadishayatvat. Anything that is limited by characteristics that it can always be improved upon. Atisham, sadisham. A limited thing will always have something superior to that, better than that. It will be surpassed by something. That's called limited. So, satishayatvat alpam. Anything other than bhuma is alpam, is limited. Only bhuma is nirdesham, is unsurpassable. Anything other than bhuma is satisham, surpassable. And therefore, it is finite, it is limited. Alright, so what? Katham alpatvepi sukhatvam varyate. Suppose the objects and achievements of the world are limited. Alright, so what? Why should they don't give happiness? Tatraha alpasya. So Bhashyakara, ataha tasmin alpe sukham nasti. So anything other than bhuma or lower than bhuma, below bhuma, less than bhuma is alpam, is finite. Therefore, tasmin alpe sukham nasti. Therefore, in finite or limited, there cannot be happiness. So the Upanishad says, na alpe sukham asti. Then Anandagiri says, katham alpatvepi sukham varyate. Suppose something is limited. Why do you say that there cannot be happiness in limited? Why? So what is the relationship between limitedness and unhappiness? Please tell us. So limitless is happy, is okay. That does not mean limited cannot be happiness. Or limited cannot give me happiness. So what's the reason why Shruti says, na alpe sukhamasti? There cannot be happiness in what is finite, in what is limited. Why? Alpasya Bhashyakara says, Alpasya adhika trishna hetutvat. Let's go sadisham, surpassable. Anything that is finite can always be improved upon. There is always something superior to anything that is finite. However great you are, there always was or is or will be somebody greater than you. However wealthy you are, there can always be somebody wealthier than you. However famous you are, there can be somebody more famous than you. However strong you are, there can be somebody stronger than you. Always. So what happens? Adhika trishna hetutvat. Moment you try to derive happiness that I am strong, realizing there is somebody stronger than me. It creates trishna, I must become also stronger. So moment I identify with anything, I am a wealthy person. Right away you realize that there is somebody wealthier than you. Immediately you feel a sense of limitedness. That arises in you an impulse to become free from limitedness, therefore I must become more wealthy than what I am. Immediately, moment I think that I am wealthy, immediate thought is, it is inadequate. I am famous, I realize even that fame is inadequate because fame can be more than this. I am well known, Swadeshe Pujyate Raja. Even if I am king, at the most I can be worshipped in my kingdom. Swagruhe Pujyate Prabhu. A wealthy person is respected in his own home. A king is respected in his kingdom. But still what? There can be somebody, so I may be known in my village, I may be known in my district, but there are people who are known in the state, and people are known in the country, people are known in the continent, people are known in the world, people are known in all 14 worlds. Even then in the present, they were not known in the past, may not be known in the future. So regardless of how great an accomplishment is, it cannot be free from the idea of limitedness, understand? I can only become a little blind in my pride and feel that I am something. But the moment I become cognitive and I realize what that something is, there cannot immediately, there will be a recognition that I am limited. I am finite. Because whatever there is in the universe is finite. And if I want to get satisfaction by equating myself with something in the universe, I will find myself finite. As far as the sense objects are concerned, that we know that you cannot get satisfaction. Ma, you made this laddu on the Ganesh Chaturthi, but we should have it tomorrow also. 2 days and 3 days we should have, because when you eat them, you still want more. You want next day, and yet next day, and more, and more. Adhika trishna hetutvad. Anything that is limited becomes a hetu, the cause of adhika trishna, of greater, more craving. It is a hungry person, you give him 2 chapatis, he says, my hunger has increased. This chapati cannot appease my hunger. Well, we have a hunger for what? Limitlessness. No limited thing can ever satisfy our hunger. Not only that, it only becomes more intense. So, the craving becomes more intense. Bhashyakara says, Trishna cha dukkha bijam. Trishna cha dukkha bijam. And Trishna is bijam, the cause of all dukkha. Trishna means craving. Craving is the cause of all unhappiness. That is why, Godhana, Gajadhana, Vajidhana, और रतन धन खान जो आवे संतोष धन सब धन धूल समान. Godhana, you may have a lot of cattle. Gajadhana, lots of elephants. Vajidhana, horses. Or Ratan Dhan Khan, you may have a mine of all jewels. Jo ave Santosha Dhan. Santosha means not freedom from Trishna, freedom from craving. Then only there can be happiness. There cannot be happiness in asantosha, in dissatisfaction. There can be happiness only when there is santosha or contentment. In discontentment there cannot be happiness. In contentment alone there can be happiness. Trishna hai dukkha bijam. Trishna or craving is bijam, the very cause of all the sorrow. Says Bhashyakara, says Anandagiri, alpasya sukhasya hetvatvepi katham swayam sukham na bhavati asankyaha. Dukkha rupam trishna alpasya sukhasya. The limited happiness becomes the cause for only intensifying the craving. Limited happiness becomes the cause for intensifying the craving. I got this much, I want more. Got this much, I want more. Katham swayam sukham na bhavati. All right. But suppose Trishna itself is happiness, then what? Suppose limited happiness creates more Trishna. But suppose Trishna itself is happiness, then what? What's wrong with it? So Bhashyakara says, Nahi dukkha bijam sukham drishtam jvaradi loke. Either or alpa sukham. Even though limited happiness, why is it not happiness? Even though limited happiness causes the trishna or craving, still it is limited happiness. Why don't you call it happiness? Says no, nindukha bijam sukham dushtam jvaradi loke. Jvaradi, fever, etc., which is dukkha bijam, fever accompanied with all kinds of pain, that cannot be happiness. Similarly, you get alpa sukham, limited happiness, but that contains that trishna, contains a craving. So whatever happiness comes, always comes as mixed with craving. So let craving be dukkham, but alpa sukham is why not sukham? Says no. Anything that contains the cause of dukkham cannot be happiness. It can be only a brahma or delusion. As the Laghu Vasudeva Mananam said, the people who carry burden on their head, they also are now, that's all, I have to reach there only, and then they run towards their destination thinking that okay, we are all right. Lot of burden is there, lot of pain is there, but they make themselves believe that we are happy. That I am happy because now I am going to reach there. That's only nothing but notion of happiness. There cannot be. So people make believe that I am happy. I am all right. That's okay. But there cannot be real happiness or real well-being. So Bhashyakara says, Tasmat yuktam nalpe sukhamastiti. Tasmat yuktam, therefore, is quite proper, appropriate. The alpe sukham nasti. There is no happiness whatever in anything that is finite, anything that is limited. Because the finite thing is surpassable. It can be improved upon. There can be something better or superior to that. Therefore, in anything that is finite, the idea that this is surpassable, this can be better, that is always contained. Every experience of finiteness is always accompanied by the understanding or idea that this is limited, this is not adequate. So inadequacy is always associated with anything that is finite. Therefore, the idea that I am inadequate, I cannot become free from the idea that I am inadequate even when I gain. The finite may be a great thing, and still one cannot be free from the idea that I am inadequate. As long as one is seeking adequacy from something other than oneself, we become a prime minister. Great accomplishment. No sooner you become prime minister, you are burdened with all kinds of problems that you are now promised to solve. Before the person becomes even, recovers from his ecstasy of having won the election, right away he recognizes what all problems are here. That's how the thing is. And so, one cannot become free from the idea of inadequacy. Whenever one identifies with anything that is limited, or whenever one wants to derive satisfaction from anything that is limited, there cannot be freedom from the idea that I am inadequate. And that is the dukkha. What causes sorrow? That I am inadequate. That is what causes sorrow. Something else does not cause me sorrow. I am inadequate. That's what causes sorrow. So Siddhanagiri alpasya sukhasya dukkhantarabhave siddhe phalitamaha. Alpa sukham, anything that is limited happiness, it always contains dukkha, always contains trishna and dukkha bijam. So dukkham, potential unhappiness is always involved. In every experience of happiness, there is always a potential of unhappiness. Because that experience of happiness will cause a sense of dissatisfaction. This is not enough. I need more. I want more. That craving is there, inadequacy, that itself is dukkha. Therefore, ataha bhuma eva sukham. So that's why Shruti said, bhuma eva sukham. Therefore, what is bhuma? What is limitless? That alone is sukham. That alone is happiness. Why is so? Says Bhashyakara, Trushnadi dukkha bijatva asambhavat bhumnaha. Bhumnaha, in bhuman or in abundant, in the limitless. Trushnadi, because it is niratisham, unsurpassable. Only when you discover yourself to be bhuma, then there is immediately also the recognition that this is unsurpassable. So, sukhamatyantikam yattat buddhigrahyamati indriyam vetyatra chayavayam siddhaschalati tattvataha yan labdhva na param labham cha param labham manyate nadhikam tataha. Yam labdhva cha aparam labham nadhikam. Gaining which one sees this fact that there is nothing greater than this. That's called bhuman. Meaning that knowledge that I am bhuman is also accompanied by this knowledge that I am infinite. That there is nothing greater than this. There is no gain greater than this. That knowledge comes along with it. So when that is recognized that there can be that there cannot be anything greater than this. So this is the greatest. Therefore now there cannot be trishna that now I should have something superior because I recognize there is nothing superior to this. So bhumna trishnadi dukkha bijatva asambhavat. What is unsurpassable cannot be surpassed. When something can be surpassed, then it can cause trishna or craving to attain what is unsurpassable. In unsurpassable, there cannot be any trishna because recognition that there is nothing greater than this, that this is it, to reach the destination. And so, this is really the attainment of what is to be attained. Knowing what is to be known, reaching what is to be reached, attaining what is to be attained, becoming what is to become. This all happens right away. And never there cannot be trishna. In contentment, then trishna cannot go together. So recognizing the self, myself as bhuma, creates complete contentment. And so there cannot be any trishna or craving in that. Yes tvatmadhareva syat atma truptasya manava atma nyevacha santushta tasya karyam na vidyate. Rati, santushti, trupti, all of this comes from the atma. Nothing remains to be done. There is nothing to be gained, nothing to be lost. By doing something, it does not stand to gain anything because you cannot add anything to infinite. By not doing something, it does not stand to lose because infinite cannot be reduced from what it is. So therefore, there is total contentment. And the trishna or craving has no place there. Is craving that is the dukkha bijam, the cause of unhappiness. So the cause of unhappiness itself goes away. What remains is happiness. Trishnadi dukkha bijatva asambhavad bhumna. For bhuman, impossible that along bhuma is there and trishna is there. That cannot be. Now going to the other tika. So here, for example, on the line, what is it? 21, line number 21. So explain the derivation of bhuman. Bahor lopo bhucha bahoho iti sutrena bahu shabdat bhuma shabda nishpattehe bahutvam bhuma shabdatah. So in Sanskrit there are a number of suffixes, pratyayas. One of them is called imanich, is one of the suffixes. That last ich is not, it doesn't count. Iman is the pratyaya. So iman is called imanich. Now, in the sutra there is a whole number of words where imanich pratyaya can be applied. It cannot be applied to anything. Those words are identified by the grammarians. So when you apply imanish pratyaya means iman pratyaya, then it creates what they call the abstract noun. So there is a whole list of words. Pruthu, for example, imanish, so prathiman, mrudu, mradiman, prathiman. Pruthu means great. Prathiman, greatness is abstract noun. Ness comes. Mrudu means what? Soft. So, mrudiman, softness. Mradiman, softness. Mahat. Mahat also means great. So, mahiman, greatness. So, mahiman, animan, laghuman, etc. Laghiman. So, laghu, laghiman, anu, animan, mahat, mahiman, tanu, taniman, patu, patiman. Patu means dexterous, patiman, dexterity. Laghu means light, So Laghiman, light and lightness. So thing is, when you apply this imanish pratyaya, then you get the abstract noun, ness you get. So Bahu, Bahiman, that's how it should have been. But there is special sutra for Bahu. So Bahoho lopaha bhucha bahoho iti. That whole Bahu is replaced by Bhu. Word Bahu is replaced, Adesh is replaced by word Bhu. And also of the imanish, the E becomes elided. So Baho plus imanich, Bhu plus imanich, the E goes away, so Bhu plus Man, Bhuman. So Bhu means what? Great, let us say, or abundant. So greatness, Bhuman is greatness, abundantness, plentiness. That's how the meaning should be literally. So say the Tika, Bahoho lopaha bhucha baho iti sutrena Bahu shabdat bhuma shabda nishpattehe Bahutvam bhuma shabdata. So bhum is bahutvam, greatness, abundantness, largeness. But here the meaning is large, not largeness. So bhav bhavitroho aved vakshaya. So great and greatness, that seem to be there equated. So greatness means great. So large means large. Therefore, bhuma means great, large, abundant, plenty. Bhuma bahu iti uktam. Bhashyakara said bhuma means bahu. In fact, bahutvam it should be, grammatically. It says bahu, therefore, that bahutva and bahu are equal. Bahutva is what? Bhava. And bahu is what? Possessing that bhava. Bhavitru. Both are equal. Therefore, bhuman is called bahu. Means big, large, abundant, infinite. Adhika tushna means adhika vishaya tushna. Okay. Because it's surpassable, therefore there is always a vishaya which is superior. Nahi dukkha bijam jvaradi loke sukham nahi dushtami diyojana. Okay. We know that anything that is jvara, etc., which contains dukkham cannot give you happiness. Then, Sri Ranagiri, in the line number 17, Bhumnaha savisheshatvam nirvisheshatvam vairi prashnapurvakam nirvisheshatvam nirdharayati. So what is that Bhuma? What is that abundant? What is that infinite? Savisheshatvam nirvisheshatvam va. Is Bhuman limitless because it is possessed of some attribute, or Bhuma is limitless because it is devoid of, transcends all the attributes? Can limitlessness be there when there are attributes, or limitless can be there only when there is freedom from attributes or one transcends the attributes? So call it Bhuman, call it Brahman, call it Satyam, call it Paramatikam Satyam, call it ultimate reality, absolute reality or reality. Can that Satyam or absolute reality, can it be with attributes or it is devoid of all the attributes? That's a question. Bhumnaha savisheshatvam nirvisheshatvam vairi prashnapurvakam nirvisheshatvam nirdharayati. And then now ultimately it ascertained that Bhuma is nirvishesham, it is free from all attributes. Kim ityadena. So Bhashyakara says, Kim lakshanosau bhuma ityaha Asau bhuma kim lakshana? What is the lakshana? What is the characteristic of bhuma? Is it savishesham or nirvishesha or nirvishesha? What is the characteristic of bhuma? In that line 25th, the other Tikakara says, Bhuma Shabdasya Uktaritya Bahutvarthakatva. Uktaritya, that word Bhuman is derived from the word Bahu, and so Bhuman is Bahutva. So, greatness, bigness, plentifulness. That's what is the meaning of the word Bhuman. Tasya Sukhatva Bhava. But plentifulness, greatness, abundance doesn't mean happiness, Meaning the word bhuman, which means abundance or plenty, does not convey the idea of happiness. Tasya cha sukhatva bhavad. There is no sukham associated with the plentifulness, etc. Parichhinnatvena alpatvat. And anything that is big also is limited. Therefore, whatever abundant bhuma is still limited. So, parichinnatvena alpatvat, the word alpam limited. And nalpe sukham is, how can bhuman be sukham? Katham tushnavi yatva sambhava iti prashnartha hai. So, bhuman, however large it is still limited. Because however large, there is always something larger than that, So even if bhuma is large, abundant, it still cannot be free from being limited. Any bhuman, that's what the word bhuma means, abundant or abundance. And still, it is not free from the idea of limitedness. So even if then bhuma also will be limited. And what is limited will always contain the seed for trishna or craving. So bhuma, how can bhuma also be happiness? Yuvai bhuma tat sukham, how can bhuma be happiness? Well, bhuma grammatically does not convey the idea of happiness. So therefore, kim lakshana so bhumayati. What is the lakshana or characters of bhuma? That it is happiness. What is the characters of bhuma? That it is happiness. So say tika, bahutva avachinna vachana bhuma shabdena. Bahut avachinna what? That word bhuma is always distinguished by bahutva or greatness or abundance. Alpatva nivritti lakshanaya. So even though word bhuman means abundant or great, what it means is that it is not limited. Alpatva nivritti lakshana, by lakshana vritti. By vachyartha, word bhuman means abundant, which also can be limited. By lakshana vritti, you should understand that abundant means that it is free from limitedness. Alpatva nivritti lakshanaya trivida parikshedahita vastuna abhidanat. So, by lakshana vritti, bhuman is that which is the word alpatvam, limitedness. And limitedness can be in three ways. So, deshataya, kalataya, vastutaya. A thing can be limited in place, in time, in objectivity or in attributes. So therefore, bhuman conveys the idea by lakshana vritti that is devoid of the limitation of time, place and attributes. Trivida parikshedahita vastuna abhidhanat. So in fact, abhidheya and abhidhanam. And so, bhuman is abhidhan, a word for something that is free from all limitations. न पूर्वोक्त दोष अवकाश है. Therefore, if you take lakshana vritti, there is no avakasha or the scope for purvokta dosha, the defect that you pointed out, that bhuman would only amount to be limited. Iti ashayavati shruti. Shruti is which is that ashaya. So that is the whole important. The tatparya is important. What is the purport of tatparya? What is the intended meaning? What's the meaning intended to be conveyed by Shruti? That is what is important. So that is where the teacher comes. Where the Vachyartha should be there, where the Lakshyartha should be there. Iti ashayavati Shruti bhumna lakshanam aha. The Shruti wants to convey that bhuman means limitless, free from all limitedness, free from alpatvam. Therefore, Shruti herself conveys lakshanam, the characteristic of bhuman, to convey that it is free from all limitedness or it is limitless. And where is limitlessness? Only when there is non-duality. When there is non-duality, freedom from all attributes. So that's why next passage says, Yatra nānyat pashyate, nānyat shrunote, nānyat vijanate, sabhuma, atha yatra, anyat pashyate, anyat shrunote, anyat vijanate, tadalpam, yo vai bhuma, tadamritam, atha yadalpam, तन्मर्त्यं स भगवः कस्मिन् प्रतिष्ठित इति स्वे महिम्ने यदि वा न महिम्ने इति yatra. Yatra means when, yatra means where or when, or yatra means what? When one knows, one may recognize this. One recognizes this. Yasmin sarvani bhutani atmaiva bhut vijanata. Yasmin. Not yasmin kale, but then yasmin kale, yasyam avasthayam, jnana dashayam. So when one gains this knowledge of that where yatra nānyat pashyate, one does not see anything else. Anyat na pashyati, one does not see anything else. Nanyat shrunoti, one does not hear anything else. Nanyat vijanati, one does not know anything other than anything else. So bhuma, that is bhuman, that is limitless. So that is Brahman. Atha yatra anyat pashyati, anyat shrunoti, anyat vijanati, tadalpam. On the other hand, where one sees something else, one hears something else, one knows something else, that is alpam. So what is bhuman, what is alpam? The definitions are given. Yo vai bhuma tat sukham. That is bhuma is happiness. What is bhuma? Not what the word conveys, what the Shruti conveys. Yat nānyat pashyati, nānyat shrunoti, nānyat vijanati, sa bhuma. The alpa is sukham. What is alpam? So yatra anyat pashyati, anyat shrunoti, anyat vijanati, tad alpam. So understand the meaning in which the Shruti uses this word bhuma and alpam. Yo vai bhuma tad amrutam again. What is sukham? Amrutam. So that is bhuma is immortal or immortality here. Atedalpam tad martyam, and that is alpam or limited, that is mortal. So that's the lakshana of bhuma and alpam both. Sa bhagavah kasmin pratisthita iti. Now then, a very interesting question. Oh, Venerable Sir, where is it established? So, where is it established? Kasmin pratisthita. Sve mahimne, in its own glory, yadiva nas mahimneti, not even in its glory. So yatra means then you get the idea that there is some place, some adhikaranam, some location. Ashraya, ashrita. So looks like where is this bhuma located? What is support of bhuma? Where does bhuma find its location or existence? Swe mahimni, in its own glory, or not even its own glory, meaning that there is freedom from the idea of ashraya and ashrita. So there is no ashraya, ashrita, that attribute also is not there. That's what is meant here. We'll continue tomorrow. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti 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 Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः आत्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ